All right. So again, we're talking volume of prisms. So you notice that you have a prism that you picked up, a real prism, and the reason that I do that is because again, some of them don't have the bottom. These are old. They're from houses have forever. Um, but one thing about prisms is that the qualities and characteristics of them will never change, including the fact that for a prism, we notice that they have two bases, and the base really determines what they're called. So one thing I do like about prisms, especially rectangular, I can decide what the base will look like. So if I want the side to be the base, then this will be the base. And so then I can say that, these are the base, or if I send it up. One thing about prisms also is that the height is always the space between the bases. And so sometimes we see things on paper, we don't really understand all the depth of it until we see it a live item. So that's why you have a prism today. All right, so let's get to the note portion of it. So when we're talking about volume, volume is the amount of three-dimensional space. So three-dimensional space occupied by an object. Volume can also be referred to as capacity. And so it's like, what is the amount of capacity it can hold? Like when you hear about volume, you normally hear about like liquids. Just get the papers and everything there. You normally hear about liquids because, again, it's about capacity. Let me update the attendance really quickly before they start sending messages. So when we talk about the base, like on here, we can say this is the base, and this, if I said these two on mine were the base, where the green was, the base of a three-dimensional object names the shape. A prism has two bases, and so when you look at a prism, you should always see two bases, and they're always going to be opposite of each other. A prism has two bases which are parallel to each other. They do not touch. The area of the base is represented by capital B, also known as big B. And so sometimes you hear people say like big B is area of the base. I don't know if you guys learned that in elementary, but big B is area of the base. Big B is area of the base. And so if you always think about that big B is area of the base, that explains why volume is big B times the height of the prism. Not the height of your base, but the height of the prism, because that's very important to identify that this height is of the prism, not your base. That won't be confusing, and we're going to get to that. So let's talk about rectangular prisms, because tomorrow we'll use these same notes to talk about triangular prisms. But today we're doing rectangular prisms. So the volume can be determined by finding the area, which we know, of the base, big B, and multiplying it by the height. Sir, if it's not yours, give it back. The area of the base can be found by using the formula big B is equal to base times height. The formula can be written as V equals big BH. Describe each variable. So again, V is the volume of prism. Big B is the area of the base, and h is the height of prism. And that's important to know because we don't want the misconception of thinking the height of the base is the height that's referred to when you say volume is big B times height. So now we're going to open up our notes. And up here, I already put what areas for triangle and rectangle in case you don't have it. But you do notice you always have a reference sheet that you will always have available to you. That's why I say turn them in the class so that you have that. So right here, you need to take out something to write with or to shade with, like if you have your own color pencil, highlighter, what have you, even your pencil. Shade the bases of the rectangular prisms. So again, you determine the base. So for this one, I can choose to shade the sides as long as they're parallel, or I can shade up and below. So I'm just going to go ahead and just shade the below for this one. And remember, prisms have two base. So I'm also going to shade my top base as well, because the bases must be parallel of one another. So please go ahead and do that for all three of your shapes. So for this one, thank you, Price. We're not asking you though. Thank you. And even though this is a cube falls in rectangular prisms. Why? Because squares fall under rectangles. All right. So now the second thing says label the heights and use a color to identify the heights. So I'm just going to switch it up. So if these were my base, that means the height has to be the area, the space between the two base. So this will be my height for this prism. So if these are my base, that means that my height for this prism will be the 15. If these two are my base, that means that my height will be the 8. Does that make sense? Because we want to make sure that the bases never touch. So the height is always what's in between wherever you identify as your bases. Now we're going to move into doing the math for volume. So one, we're going to identify the shape. The shape, this is a rectangular prism. The name of the base is a rectangle. Big B, remember, is area of the base. So when I look at my area of the base, remember, and I also have the anchor chart there. So if I didn't know what the area of the base is, I know it's little b times little h. So on here, I could say base times height. So my big B will be 12 times 10, which is 120. So my volume for my volume formula is always big B times height. So when I plug in my values, I already know what my big B is. So I'm going to say my volume is 120 times 15 because that's the height of the prism. And so, I mean, you have a little space there to do the math. But when I have 120 and I times it by 15, I get 1800. So my volume is 1800. But remember, one thing we got to know is these are in cubics, because why? I'm multiplying three numbers together, so that unlike area where we're multiplying two numbers, when I multiply three numbers, I would say centimeter cube or cubic centimeters. So here for the shape, this still falls as a rectangular prism, even though the base is a square. So when we do area, we know area is B times height. So if this is my base here, I'll say base times height. So that's 8 times 8, which is 64. Volume of the volume formula is big B times height. And when I plug in the values, I'll have 64 times 8, because this here is the height of the prism. So 64 times 8 is what? Does anyone have it? Yes, 512 feet or cubic feet. Because you're multiplying three things. Yes. And the fact that it's three-dimensional. And that's why when you find area of a two-dimensional, it's square. But so there we go. So we now know. So these are our notes. Please don't lose your notes, because tomorrow we will do the triangular prism notes, which you will see follows the same thing. The only difference is going to be our big B. We use a different formula. So we're going to put these away and we're going to move to your next page. Or not put it away, but turn the page. So on here, I would like for you, wait, I believe we just did one with those same numbers. So we just did one with these same numbers here. So if you can go ahead and do number 5 for yourself, you're going to find the volume of the prism. So please go ahead and do number 5. When you have it, you can thumbs up. Oh, you already got it? Some sauce. And when you have it and you're done, you can move to number 6. Because who doesn't like a good fraction?
Me? A lot of people. Me.
Oh, no.
Fractions. I just don't like fractions.
Awesome. Just don't forget to do that.
I have the answer to number 5. Bro. This is so cute.
I'll turn back on the notes while we're working on that for those that might have came in late. There you go, Christian. Do you have the notes? Okay. Did you already finish the other page that we're working on? This is where you are, starting number 5.
Are we actually supposed to do it? Why do I need a cube?
Okay, so I've checked the majority. A few of you still need to, again, we got to work on our multiplication, but that comes with practice. What I want us to take a look at on here, because number 5, I believe you guys got it. But let's go ahead and do one together because I see it's just, again, we have to identify what our base is. So let's look at number 6. The majority, a lot of you got that one, but quite a few people missed number 6. So I just want to do it for the simple fact that I'm recording it for those that are absent. We have a lot of absence today. So we want to, again, yes, our formula is big BH. Remember what big B is. Big B is the area of the base. So if I did big B first and I find the area of my base, I'm just multiplying 4 times 2. So 4 times 2, that's 6. So when I plug in my values, I know I have 6. I mean, not 6, 8. My apologies. Thank you. 8, sorry. 8 times the height, which is 9.25. And so you're just multiplying base times height. I think we're making it too complicated when we do that. Like over here, some of you are, I don't know, like you're doing multiple multiplications of the height. We don't do that. There are three numbers. You're just multiplying all three numbers together. That's all volume is. Base, whatever the two numbers for the base and the height, you're just multiplying three numbers across, and that's fine to do that. And so when we do 9.25 times 8, we should end up getting 74. Is that what everyone ended up getting? So your answer here then will be 74. But again, I can't stress the fact that it's okay if I was to even write volume equals base times height and say 21 times 21 times 6.1 has the same meaning because I'm still doing base times height times the height of the prism. So again, I just don't know how else to stress that. So let's look at number 7, because number 7 says they gave us the volume of 408. So if I already have my volume and I want to know what is the height of this shape. So this is my height. So my height is h. So I already know what my base is, my little b and my little h. So again, you still use the same formula. Nothing changes from that. So we know we're still using base volume equals big B times H. I know my volume, so I'm going to say 408 is equal to big B, which is 3.4 times 8 times the height, which I don't know, so I'm going to put an X there. So when we say 3.4 times 8, we get 27.2x equals 408. So what do? I need to divide by 27.2 on both sides so that I can find my x. And when I do that, I should get x is equal to 15. Is that what you got for those that already moved on to this? Awesome. So it turns us back into an equation. And if you notice, the next one is doing the very same thing. So go ahead and try that one for yourself.
I'll tell you a fun fact.
Go for it.
2 times 2 is the only multiplication fact that if you change the multiplication sign to a plus sign, the answer is still the same.
And if you square it.
That too.
Yeah. Jordan, I need you to stay focused and actually get to work. Yeah, go ahead. But what were you about to say? Go for it. I'm listening.
With this one, would you divide by 0.5? Because each bag contains 0.5 cube. Okay.
Yeah. I'm done with everything.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you know.
Do we have an answer for number 8? You do? Awesome. Would you mind going to the board and sharing or showing us? Can we have a volunteer for the board to show us how you did number 8? Price, I'll let you show the next one. Price, I'd rather you show number 9. Okay. So Zane's going to show us number 8.
Just let me know if you need help.
Okay.
Wait, I think I got it wrong.
What did you get?
I got 100
Is that what everyone? What did you get, Price?
9.5.
What did you do to get 9.5?
I divided this by 24. What? You got what? 114 or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so 114. And then because this is feet and this is inches, I converted this into inches, which 1 foot is 12 inches. So then I divided this by 12, and then I got 9.5.
That's it. Yes, because I was looking at that and I was like, wait, 1 second. But it's because it was in inches.
Almost got me too. When I looked at it, I was like,
And so for those that are watching, this is good. All right. So all he did was he divided. So if you have 2736, well, first, everything should be in the same units. That's one thing we want to look at. So if this is 24 inches, this is X, and this is in feet, we can even turn this 1 feet into inches. Because how many inches is in 1 foot? 12. So we can say this is 12 inches. And so now we're sure that everything is going to be in inches. So if we operate from that place, then we will say 24 times X or times 12 times X. So 24 times 12, because this was a tricky question. I had to look at it twice. 24 times 12 is 288X. 2736. And so now you will divide by 288. And when you divide by 288, that's where you will get the 9.5. So X equals 9.5 inches. So that's one way to do it, or you can do exactly what Price did. Divide by the 12, the 24 first, and then divide again by the 12 because you need to get it to inches. But that's something that I thought was interesting because of that. But let's look at number 9, and Price is going to show us number 9. Price.
right.
Number 9. You said you were showing us number 9, sir. So it says Chelsea is building a sandbox for her backyard that will be 8 feet wide, 6 feet long, and 3-4 feet tall. To fill the sandbox, each bag of sand contains 5 10 cubic feet and costs $3.90. How much will it cost Chelsea to fill the sandbox with sand? Go for it, sir.
Okay, so we know the dimensions. It's a rectangle.
So I love that he's drawing what it looks like, or somewhat.
Yeah, you got this. You got the drawing.
Something like that. You know I can't draw, so that's as good as you're gonna get.
So one of these is 8 feet, one of these is 6 feet, one of these is 0.75 feet. 3/4.
So 8 by 6 and then 0.75. Keep going.
All right. So figure out the volume. Multiply 8 by 6, which you get 78. And multiply that by 0.75.
So he's just finding the volume first because I'm writing it for the people that'll watch the recording. So he just multiplied the base of 8 times 6 and then the height of 0.75.
Oh, yeah, you're right. All right.
So the volume is 36.
Yeah, we got 36. Don't ask why it's a lower number. All right. Then you multiply that. Well, actually, no, you divide it by 0.5, but of course it's this. You gotta move it that way. Move that way.
So now he said that we will divide by 0.5 because 0.5 is the cubic feet. even though it costs $3.90. So we'll say 36, but we got to move the decimal ones, which moves it here and up. So we add a 0. And what did we get when you did this part? I'm sorry.
I got 72.
72. So he got 72. Keep going.
But we're not done yet because we gotta find
The cost.
And each costs $3.90. So we gotta multiply this by $3.90.
So now we will multiply by $3.90, the 72. What did you get, sir? And so then we will get $280.80. Now I know that took a lot, but I think it's such a good problem because this is the real life of it. Because the real life will say that we should be able to. Real life, yes, I wrote it because I wanted to make sure that those that go back and watch the recording says first you got to find the volume. No matter what, you want to start with the volume. Then go to what it's asking you. It says that if each bag is 5/10 cubic feet, then what does that mean I need to do? I need to know how many bags I need. So before I can buy the bags, I got to know how many bags I need. So this 72 tells us how many bags we need. We need 72 bags. Once I know how many bags, now I can see how much is that going to cost me, which was the 208. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. $280.80. So that will become our solution because it says how much will it cost to fill the sandbox? $280.80. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. For those that watch the recording, make sure you go to the practice page for yourself and start on the, what are these called? Analyst ones.